Peace to the God and peace to you and yours. You are now tuned into the Mirror Effect podcast with your host, TriGGaTheGod. This is episode 12, Mind Control, Soul Harvesting, and the Battle for Consciousness. I hope everybody had a good strong as we approach the strong end. Peace to the God, peace to you and yours. You are now tuned into the Mirror Effect podcast. So we just gonna have a conversation, a metaphysical conversation. You know what I'm saying? Let's raise the vibration and let's talk. Hope everybody had a good strong, you know what I mean? Coming to the end of the strong, you know what I mean? And what is this, the last full week of the month? No, next week. Okay. So we're coming into the end of the month. June 1st, not too far away. Man, 2025 has been a very interesting year so far. Almost 6 months in. Very, very interesting year. 6 down, 6 to go. And a lot going on in the world. A lot of distractions. A lot of fuckery going on. It's imperative that you stay grounded, stay 10 toes, working on you. Man, heal thyself. Woman, heal thyself. Mentally, physically, spiritually. Getting your checkups, etc. Changing your thought patterns. Words are powerful, thoughts are powerful. So we gonna begin, we gonna tap in. Let's talk about it. Most of us aren't living as ourselves anymore. We're avatars, versions of ourselves manufactured by trauma, shaped by culture, coded by algorithms. We logged onto social media, and the moment we look in the mirror and hated our own reflection, the soul began slipping. Let me repeat that. We logged onto social media, and the moment we looked in the mirror and hated our own reflection, the soul began slipping. The system started snatching. You don't have to be dead to be harvested. You only need to be disconnected from your purpose, your source, yourself. That's the real battlefield. The disconnection of consciousness through false identities. We wear these avatars so well, we forget how to be our authentic selves. We wear these avatars so well, we forget how to be our authentic selves. We forget how to be authentic. The avatar matrix and the hijack of identity. The avatar self is not just a social media persona. It's a spiritual cloak, a mask of trauma, cultural programming, and algorithmic control. Algorithmic control. This matrix hijacks our minds through constant validation, seeking comparison, and disconnection from our true essence. So here's a question for all of us. When did our authentic voice last speak freely? Whose voice do you really hear inside our heads when we doubt ourselves? Who benefits when you stay lost in noise, pretending to be someone else? The war for our mind is everywhere, in music that programs frequency, in media that shapes identity, in fear that breaks intuition. The avatar is the system's way to rent your soul without needing to enslave your body. Here's a reflection. Take a moment when you feel doubt. Whose voice is that? Is it yours or a borrowed echo? Let me repeat that. Take a moment when you feel doubt. Whose voice is that? Is it yours or a borrowed echo? We all need to fast from external programming for at least 7 days. No music, no social media, no news. And we all need to write daily. What does my soul need right now? And continue to keep writing until the authentic voice surfaces. Begin every morning with gratitude. I am the original code. I am not programmable. My mind is mine. That's imperative and that's important. Becoming the best versions of ourselves, not to impress anybody. You heard? Not to please anybody. Man, heal thyself. Woman, heal thyself. That's what we need to focus on. Not the bullshit. Not the fuckery. There's too many distractions, outside and inside. So what's the solution? It depends on which solution you want to take. There's many solutions. Which one do you want to contribute and add to yourself? Which one do you want to which one do you want to apply to yourself? Let's go deeper. See, the soul snatching ain't always physical. It's vibrational, psychological, and spiritual. You can sign away your essence with a click, a contract, a compromise. Every time you betray your inner knowing to fit in, every time you silence your truth to avoid rejection, every time you trade your purpose for popularity, you sign the fine print in invisible ink. And that's how soul contracts get hijacked, not by demons in red suits, but by desires you don't question, by wounds you haven't healed. You see, trauma creates a frequency, and frequencies attract entities. Entities don't need to possess you, they just need you to out of alignment. They just need you out of alignment. They need you distracted, confused, addicted, so you'll build temples for your ego and forget how to hear the God within. This is how harvesting works, not with a sickle, but with seduction. They harvest your attention, your focus, your belief in self, and most dangerously, they harvest your imagination because once they own your ability to see, they control what you can be. Where have you silenced your truth in exchange for comfort? Who or what have you given authority over your imagination? The subconscious mind processes 11 million bits of information per second. The conscious mind, only 40. Hmm. That means most of us, that means most of what you believe is running on a hidden program you didn't write. So ask yourself, who coded your default settings? What language does your fear speak? Because that's the language the Matrix understands and responds to. Let me repeat that. What language does your fear speak? Because that's the language the Matrix understands and responds to. Feel me? The psychological possession of spiritual warfare. Possession isn't always dramatic. It's it's mimicking trends you don't believe in, hating your own skin, hair, voice, body, worshiping money over mission, performing instead of being, playing roles to survive a world that fears your truth. This is metaphysical warfare. Your mind is the motherboard. Control the mind, control the soul. We live in an age where trauma hijacks rejection and fear steals intuition. Soul contracts get twisted through pain, shame, and silence. But here's the spiritual truth. Shadow integration is a sacred process. We must confront the darkness inside to reclaim the sovereignty. Where are you obeying your own suppression? What shadows do you refuse to meet? I'm not just speaking to y'all, I'm speaking to me. And that's the mirror effect. Set daily intentions to integrate your shadow with love, not fear, and declare out loud, I am whole. I embrace my darkness as part of my light. Soul contracts, sovereignty, and the return of the authentic self. In the age of AI and artificial identities, being real is revolutionary. Spiritual sovereignty means owning your energy, owning your emotions, and evolution. It means refusing to outsource your consciousness to trends, trauma, or technology. We've normalized leasing our spirits, saying yes when we mean no, mimicking gods we don't worship, mimicking gods we don't even know the true essence of their identity, forgetting while incarnated, forgetting while we incarnated. To reclaim sovereignty, say every sunrise, every morning, my soul is mine. My soul is my own. I do not consent to manipulation. My energy is not for my energy is not for sale. Reclaim your name. Reclaim your spirit. Reclaim your identity. Reclaim your love. Your names carries your original frequency. Speak it with power. Set 3 daily intentions that serve your soul, not your survival. You are the key, the prisoner and the liberator of your own consciousness. We are gods having a human experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. God, generator, operator, destroyer. I'm just saying, I'm not just speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself. And that's the mirror effect. You came here to remember, to realign, to return to your truth, your tribe, your throne. No more avatars, no more amnesia. You already it. You just forgot. It's imperative you remember. It's imperative you recognize the God within. It's imperative you look internal instead of external. Because once you work in the internal, what you put in inside will manifest outside. Let's decode another layer. What if I told you your memory is the portal to your divinity? What if I told you your memory is the portal to your divinity? But memory has been hijacked, not just your memory of this life, but ancestral memory. The system doesn't just erase history, it fragments spiritual memory. Why? Because when you remember who you are across lifetimes, they can't control you in this one. See, social media isn't just for scrolling, it's a spell, it's a distraction, an altar, a modern scrying mirror where you offer fragments of yourself for likes and dopamine. And with every post, every filter, every false persona, you feed the algorithm and starve the soul. But here's the alchemy. What they use to program you, you can use to reprogram yourself and become the higher version and better version and healing version of yourself. Digital mirrors can become portals of reflection. Frequencies can be tuned. The matrix can be hacked. The matrix can be hacked. But you can't do that while sleepwalking through your scroll. Scroll through your social media like it's your soul's journey. Who have you been performing as? And what part of you is missing from the performance? That's a question we need to ask ourselves. Here's a practice. Practice digital alchemy. Curate your feed like a sacred temple. Follow only what nourishes your soul. Let me repeat that. Curate your feed like a sacred temple. Follow only what nourishes your soul. And by doing that, you change the algorithm of what you see on your social media. What you like and what you follow is data that they study, and you continuously see those particular things on what you like and what you follow. You need to like and follow what benefits you as far as wealth, as far as health. Post from your truth, not your trauma. Speak light into the algorithm. Prayers, affirmations, ancestral remembrance. Turn the scroll into a sermon. Let me repeat that. Speak light into the algorithm. Prayers, affirmation, meditation, ancestral remembrance. Make the timeline a timeline of awakening. Let your digital echo be your divine signature. And like I said, I'm not just speaking to you, I'm speaking to myself. And that is the mirror effect. You know, I heard a quote: when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's important to know. That's important to see. That's important to hear. That's important to feel. That's a fact. What I've been realizing more and more is this: you have to find time in your time of day or night to sit in silence off of your phone. Sometimes you got to put that phone down and turn off your phone or put your phone on do not disturb. Stay away from the iPad or Android or whatever, TV, and sit down in silence. But at the time when you sit down in silence, don't let your mind overwhelm you. Clear your mind and let the universe speak to you. Let your brain computer collect the data that it needs. There's power in silence. There's power in not listening and avoiding the bullshit. It's important to go beneath the grid, behind the veil of everyday life. There are architects, shadow architects, builders of belief systems, designers of distractions. They construct illusions with no bricks, but with thought forms. A thought form is a living energy. When enough people believe a lie, it becomes real energetically. It becomes a psychic structure, an invisible city inside the collective mind. Let me repeat that. When enough people believe a lie, it becomes real energetically. I'm speaking to the shadow architects and the manipulation of thought forms. Energetically, frequency, vibration. Think racism, think capitalism, think religion as a control. Now here's the metaphysical danger. When your mind lives inside a thought form that isn't yours, your soul becomes a tenant in someone else's empire. And these architects, they ain't just in politics or media. Let me repeat that. When your mind lives inside a thought form that isn't yours, your soul becomes a tenant in someone else's empire. And these architects, they're not in only politics or media, they're inside your childhood, inside the unhealed pain of your mother and your father, inside the school system that made obedience more valuable than originality, inside the church that told you guilt was godly and pleasure was sin. All of that part of the design. The game isn't just to trap your body, it's to colonize your mind. Because when they have your thoughts, they don't need your chains. When they have your thoughts, they don't need your chains. So ask yourself, whose ideas live inside your head? Whose guilt rides on your spine? Whose God did you inherit? And was that God liberating or limiting? Here's a thought. Here's a reflection. Name 3 beliefs you were taught that no longer serve your evolution. Where did they come from? Whose voice is attached to them? That's a question we all need to ask ourselves. But here's some soul cleansing rituals. Write each limiting belief on a separate piece of paper. Let me repeat that. Write each limiting belief on a separate piece of paper. Speak the truth over it. Replace it with a divine principle. Burn it safely, symbolically. Speak this. This is not mine. I return this thought form to the void. I reclaim my mind. This is not theatrics. This is spiritual hygiene. Because every unexamined belief is a back door for manipulation. Let's talk about psychic parasites and the energy economy. Let's talk parasites real quick, but not the ones in your body, the ones in your field. Parasites of the mind, parasites of energy, parasitic vibrations and frequencies, energetic leeches that feed off your unhealed trauma, anxiety, and fear. These entities, some interdimensional, some psychological, don't need your flesh. They feed on your frequency. They feed on your vibration. They feed on your energy. Every time you argue with someone who can't hear you, every time you obess your being, liked or validated, every time you replay a painful memory over and over, that's a psychic feeding ground. Let me repeat that. They feed on your frequency. These entities, some interdimensional, some psychological, do not need your flesh because they feed on your frequency. They feed on your energy. They feed on your vibration. Spiritual leeches. Every time you argue with someone who can't hear you, every time you obsess or obsess, hmm, that's a thought to think about. That's really a thought to think about, man. And it comes in so many ways, man, in so many faces and facets, from at work, throughout your day, in the public, whatever. When you're driving, when you're in the store, certain family members, certain friends and associations. It comes in so many different fucking ways, man. And like I said, every time you argue with someone who can't hear you, every time you obsess over being liked or validated, every time you replay a painful memory over and over, that's nothing but a psychic feeding ground. And the truth is, the energy economy is real. Your attention is currency. Your trauma is data. Your triggers are portals. And you don't even realize you're paying in spirit just to stay entertained. Every tweet or every, what they call it now, it's not Twitter no more, right? Whatever it's called, every tweet, every post, every argument, every scroll, you're spending energy. The question is who's collecting it? This is why healing is not optional, it's survival. Because an unhealed spiritual wound becomes a contract with a parasite. It becomes a contract with a spiritual parasite. And they don't care how you feel. They don't care how woke you sound. if you still vibrate in pain. But here's a question. What thought, habit, or relationship drains your spirit the most? What am I feeding that isn't feeding on me? What am I feeding that is feeding on me? That's the real question. For you and for me. You heard? But here's a solution. Every night, every morning, ask yourself, where did my energy go today? Where did my energy go tonight? What gave me energy? What took it? Write it, map it, master it. Then take back control. Block the portals, seal the cracks, reclaim your field, because your aura is not a playground. Your vibration is not a playground. Your frequency is not a playground. Protecting your energy is not a playground. Protecting your vibration and frequency is not a playground. It's a temple. And no uninvited spirit gets to squat in your sanctuary. Real shit. We're in war right now. We're in a spiritual war, mental war, physical war. You heard? Not for oil, not for money, but for memory, your soul's memory. They want your mind more than anything. But when you remember, when you wake up, and unplug from the bullshit, when you unplug, you become uncontrollable. They fear your remembrance because remembrance leads to resistance, and resistance leads to reconstruction. That's why your trauma are constantly triggered. That's why your fears are fed. That's why the matrix runs off your amnesia like a power grid. But here's the metaphysical key. The more you remember, the more you resemble your soul, the more you heal, mentally, physically, and spiritually. And every piece you reclaim makes you harder to manipulate. This ain't a conspiracy. It's a cosmic chess game. And you and I, beloved, are the queens on the board, the most powerful piece. If you know how to move, move. I'm just saying, I'm not speaking only to you. I'm also speaking to myself. And that's the mirror effect. You are not the avatar. You are the architect. You are not the product. You are the program. So the question is, who's coding your consciousness? Who's coding your consciousness? Questions we all need to ask ourselves. That's real shit. That is real shit right there. This is episode 12, Mind Control and Soul Harvesting, Battle for Consciousness. I am your host, TriGGaTheGod. This is the Mirror Effect Podcast, episode 13, coming soon. I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for tapping in. Thank you for this conversation. Peace to the God and peace to you and yours. Peace, love, and light. I hope everybody has a strong end and enjoy the strong end with this 3-day weekend. Y'all be safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. Stay dangerous. Keep your eyes open, ears listening. Spend time with your family if you have family. If you don't got family, spend time with yourself. You dig? Enjoy yourself. Take yourself out to dinner or take your loved one out to dinner. Whoever you got friends and associations with that you feel confident to go spend time with, do that. If you ain't got nobody to spend time with, cool. Spend time with yourself. Do what makes you happy. Do what makes you feel good and heal thyself. Episode 13 coming soon. I'ma holler at y'all. 1. I'm supposed to feel myself, no doubt, no shame. Embracing my greatness, owning my name. They say stay humble, but I can't contain the fire that's inside of me. Drives me insane. I've been grinding for years, putting in the work. Now it's time to shine, live without a smirk. I'm supposed to feel myself, get to part of the game. Claiming my throne, nigga, never feeling tame. I overcame the struggles, battled through the pain. Now I'm on top, they can't deny the flame. I'm in my zone, nigga, I'm an unstoppable force, on the rise, staying on the course. I'm out of sight, out of mind, I'm on my grind, yeah. If a nigga play, then he gon' meet his demise. Staying out of sight, out of mind with my 9. I'm destined to shine, I'm the king of my own castle, the ruler of my own fate. I'm living the life I always dreamed of. It is never too late, no, 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 it's never too late, no, no, nigga. Well, that's all your niggas get, nigga, it's a freestyle. Spring Valley, fuck.